All right, I want to show you a quick overview of the Talos dashboard and what you can do with it, because it's just a great little interface if you're plugged in locally on a computer, but it also works a couple different ways, and I want to show you. So on the main dashboard, you're going to see a basic output that you would normally see if you're looking at uptime, right? You run the command uptime, you're going to see what you have from it, as well as how much CPU and memory is being used. Basic stuff like that. You're going to see your cluster name if you're in a cluster, and then what stage you're in. This might be maintenance mode. This might be installing. Running is right now we have a healthy cluster. This is a single node cluster, but this is where we get for just like, hey, are things running right now? And obviously we get true, and this is a control plane node. So you'll get worker or control plane, and this doesn't mean that you can't run workloads on here, but you may have to patch the machine to be able to run the workloads. We can also see our Kubernetes version and then all of our control plane components here. These are obviously great for a control plane node because you just want to see at a high level what's going on. Is the scheduler running or is it having problems? Host name, IP address, these are all things you're going to need. This is IPv4 and IPv6 if it's enabled on your network, as well as just general gateway information and DNS. This is awesome because you can just see immediately like, oh, is my DNS configured properly? That's awesome. And then the main section here is just a scrolling set of logs, and you can scroll back in this with the up arrows, or you can go back through it whenever you need to if you want to. And this is going to be the kernel logs on the output. So you can see here I plugged in a keyboard into this machine, and we just get those logs directly in this outputs. And you're going to get stuff from kernel. This isn't going to show you Kubernetes logs. This isn't going to show you pod logs or anything like that. This is for the machine. So we have HDMI on the machine itself. Now let's push F2 and switch over to the next tab here. And we're still getting our uptime right at the top. And this gives us a little more details. That's kind of like a top interface where we can actually see our percentage of CPU and memory being used over here. And then some great 2E graphs around what's going on this machine. And this might give you a little bit better insights into if you're memory constrained or if you're getting errors or something like that from workloads. CPU, network, receive and transmits, and disk IO read and write. Here's our memory used and generally just our load average. And so this is going to be that 60-second average. Then down here, we actually have the rest of top. This is things that are running on the system. And this is a read-only view of top. I can't do anything with the processes here. So if someone had access to this in your data center on your node, they're not going to go around killing processes, but they could see something that might be running that you may not want them to. So this is still a protected interface, but I can't make any changes here. And the last interface we can look at for the tab is this network configuration. And this allows us to make changes if we want to set our host name, DNS servers, time servers, interface, all of that stuff. I did change the DNS to one of the Google resolvers, and you can see it's over here applied on the new config, but I haven't rebooted into it. So that's why on this first page, my DNS is still configured to what the network gave me, but I haven't rebooted to actually apply that change over here. Now let's look at my system that I'm running this from, right? Like I'm on my actual computer, not plugged into that node directly, and we can still get that dashboard even if we're remote. So I don't need to plug in HDMI for that, which is also a great feature. So I can look at Talos control, and we're going to specify the node we want and the endpoint. And the endpoint is how we get to that node. So in a one node cluster, it's going to be the same, but if you have multiple worker nodes as part of a cluster, you'll have to go through one of the API servers or control plane nodes to get to one of the worker nodes. And here we can see that exact same output here from the dashboard. I can see the output for my logs, and if I need to, I can go to the monitoring option for that top interface. I can't get to the network config from here. Remotely, we don't want to be able to configure that without doing it through the API. So that's something that's only for the local HDMI interface. And if you're remote on the machine or trying to look at the dashboard remotely, you can't get that from the other cool thing for monitoring remotely is if I want to actually get logs from the machine, again, not Kubernetes logs, we're getting this from lower levels on the system. I can use the Talos control dmessage and again, point to that node at endpoints. And this is going to send out those kernel logs that are usually on the dashboard directly to me here. And if I add a follow to the end, I'm going to get those streamed to me directly to my console so that I can watch them as they're coming in. So I don't need the whole dashboard. This also might let me do other things like a grep or searching for it for text that I wanted to see. And so there's a couple different ways you can get that output to a remote instance through the API. But the dashboard itself is what I really wanted to show off because it's just really cool. And the fact that it also works over video means you can get to it if your machine has something like Intel AMT for remote out-of-band management, HP ILO, or Dell iDrake. All of those things have remote video interfaces that you can attach to and see that local console, which is going to give you the dashboard by default. So instead of just seeing a remote login shell, you're going to actually get some useful information based on what your node is doing.